to the next panel. And I see it's on sales and sponsorships. I assume everybody's here for the sponsorship side of it. That's a joke. I'm glad to see that we have some people that recognize the value and importance of the sales side as well. We have Jim Beaudoin. I'm going to have everybody just talk briefly and introduce themselves as well and a little bit of their background. I'm happy to have Jim, who's an alum of our program, undergrad, 99. Chris Valente, I personally recruited a couple of minutes ago and added to the panel, who's the VP of Sales and Marketing for the Albany Devils in the NHL, AHL. And Chris is also a former student, as he reminded me, from sport law in 2003. Emily Huddell is one of our grad alums, and she is Senior VP of Sales and Service at Turnkey. And Jordan Cascino, who is the Director of Sales with the New Jersey Jackals. He is not an alum, but I'll just say that his university has been in the news lately. I'll let him elaborate on that, however he wants to do that. So I will start with you, Chris, and just as a way of background, just a thumbnail as to, I assume none of you went into your university education expecting to be in sales or planning to be in sales, but here you are. So if you could kind of elaborate on kind of the thumbnail as to where you're from,
sure,
and how you got this.
Well, I remember freshman year, my professors telling us that we were going to make no money, work a lot of hours, and be in sales. And if everybody who wanted to get up and leave, get up now and leave. And no one did. But I definitely did not go into the sports management thing. I was going to be a salesperson. And I ended up doing the internship track that was available, and I did it with the New York Giants in community relations. I was like, oh, great, I'm not in a sales job. This is fantastic. I ended up being hired by them after my internship, after 04, and realized quickly that if I ever wanted to move up in the sports world or make any money of any sort, that I would have to get into sales. And left the Giants to work for the New Jersey Devils right across the street as a strike of the NHL was ending. So I became a ticket sales account rep, having never sold a thing in my life, and worked my way to the top. They promoted me to corporate sales, and then I was sent up to Lowell, Massachusetts to be the director of ticket sales, and from there I became the director of marketing. And when we moved the team to Albany last year, I became the vice president of sales and marketing. So it's kind of my sales background. I've sold either corporate sales, the NHL, ticket sales, the NHL level, and at the minor league level. So I've seen it from both sides.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think pretty much everyone who gets involved in sport management, nobody wants to become a sport management major because of the great sales guy they saw at Fenway Park or something. Everybody wants to get involved in sports because of the marketing aspect, the players, kind of cool kind of lifestyle. But you learn pretty quickly that everybody wants to be in marketing, but there's one job in marketing for 500 people. So if you want to move up in the industry, in my professional opinion, you got to give sales a shot. Obviously there are other avenues as well, but if you're a good salesperson, there's not an organization out there who is going to look at your resume and turn it down. There's no organization out there that says, we've already got enough good salespeople, we don't have anything else to sell. So I identified pretty quickly that if I wanted to move up in this industry, that I needed to embrace sales, which I did, was apparently somewhat successful at it, and much like Chris, started in tickets, went up to corporate sales, up and up and up. I've been the general manager of 2 minor league baseball teams, and now I oversee a hockey team as well as a couple other properties. So that was it. It was just identified opportunity, and that's what led me to sales in the first place.
Thanks, Emily. And Emily brings a little different perspective because we think of selling in sports, we think about it as selling tickets, suites, sponsorships, and Emily sells a service or a product. So.
Absolutely. So similar to these guys, I kind of backed into sales. My undergrad is in journalism and music, so a little bit non-traditional. I went to grad school here, and then I got my first job in the research division of a sports market research firm. But since we didn't have a whole lot of clients, I also was forced to do some selling and get some more teams to buy our services. And I kind of realized over time that I was doing pretty good on the sales side. My boss realized it too, and we started to grow my development on that side of the business, and I have morphed in those 6 years from that first day until now from being a research consultant to being SVP of sales and service. So I sell services and products to teams, to brands and agencies. So like Steve said, very different from selling tickets to consumers or selling sponsorships, but another area of the business that I think is definitely worth looking into if you have an interest in breaking into sports. A little bit off the beaten path, but gives you some great opportunities to learn what a lot of teams are doing and see the industry from a different perspective.
Thank you.
Okay, so just in case you were wondering, I did go to Penn State, so let that settle in for a few moments. But I did take the internship path, very similar. Started out as an internship with the New Jersey Jackals, but before then I was kind of all over the place. Didn't really know what I wanted to do. Thought I wanted to be a lawyer. Then I worked at a law firm for a summer, and that turned it around pretty quickly. So if you ever want to figure out whether or not you want to do something, give it a shot. Otherwise, you'll never really have a good idea of what goes into the daily routine of any career. But I started out in the Meadowlands as a game day, or rather a group sales and marketing intern. A lot of paperwork, a lot of coffee acquiring, but still you learn the everyday ropes. And moving from there, started doing tours for Giant Stadium, and then that career ended when they knocked it down. And then started working with the Jackals as a game day intern, doing everything from pulling the tarp on the field during a rainstorm to dressing up in the mascot when he got sick one day. So very involved and just moved up. You know, they really hit the nail on the head. At the end of the day, you do have to be able to sell. If you're not selling tickets or you're not selling a service, if you're marketing, to a degree you are still selling. You're selling the entire thing. If you're in community relations, you're selling your ability to reach out. So there is an element of sales all around, and you guys are in the right room right now. That's definitely for sure.
Thank you. So, Jim, you said something about if you're going to be a good salesperson, and Emily told me before that she found out that she was secretly good at sales. So I'm going to start with you, Jason, and I'd like each of you, without repeating the one before you,
Can you start here then?
what makes a good salesperson? So by the time we get down to the end there, we should have four good attributes as to what you believe makes a good salesperson.
Well, it's easy to start off in sales thinking about what you want to make in commission and what you want your final quota to be and what your goals are. But at the end of the day, you do have to be very, very concerned with what the customer wants and how much the customer is willing to spend. It's very difficult trying to go into an advertising sales meeting and say, well, here are all the great opportunities we have, and they all cost this much money, and you should spend this because this is going to work for you. It's not the right way to necessarily go about it. Some people, all people, have a budget, and they have specific goals, and you have to find that equation that's able to balance the two. But if you're really looking for that little thing that's going to make you good at sales, really understand what they want. And once you understand what the customer wants, you're going to be able to cater whatever package or partnership you're trying to put in front of them to their goals. And that's what it's all about at the end of the day.
Okay, so we got know the customer and customer focused off our list.
That was going to be mine, but I have another one. I would say honesty. I never try to push something down the throats of my customers that they don't want. I am very candid about what our products can do and what they can't do. And I have had situations at the very beginning of a product cycle that I was starting last year for a brand new product that we had that really needed a foothold with a client. And a client was really interested in using it for something that it wasn't built to do and that I knew ultimately wouldn't work, and they were ready to sign, and I had to say, you know what, this isn't the right fit for you. I'm not going to tell you this is something that it's not, you know, it's just not the right match. And it was hard to do because it would have been a client I could put on my roster and say at the end of the day, I have this guy, but it was the right thing to do because I knew that what they wanted wasn't what my product was built for. So I think being really honest with the client about that kind of thing makes a difference, because they'll come back to you in 5 years and remember that you didn't try to stick them with something that wasn't what they needed.
Yeah, I had to take honesty. I didn't think there was anyone that was going to take honesty. Great one, by the way. Drive. Drive to me is probably the most basic, fundamental quality that a quote-unquote good salesperson needs to have. If not for the simple reason that, to a degree, sales is a numbers game to a degree. The more calls you make, the more people you stop in to see, the more likelihood of closing a deal is. And that can get to be difficult. Not to turn people off on sales, but this is the honest truth. Sales is not for everybody. You know, you need to call 30 good calls a day. I mean, everybody says 100 calls a day, but I don't want people just making 100 calls a day. I want 30 good calls a day. That's tough to do. So you need to have the drive to be able to do that. I think in addition, your own personal drive, and kind of what I alluded to at the beginning was, you know, I don't know if people want to be a salesperson all their lives. I wanted to be the general manager of a minor league baseball team. The way I was going to get there was to get into sales. So I wanted my own personal drive of going up here, and I needed to be a good salesperson to get up there. So drive. I don't want to steal any more of Chris's ideas.
Thanks, guys. You have to be really great at building relationships. Sales sometimes, excuse me, is a dirty word, and people have this perception of a salesperson as someone who's constantly hounding you as a car salesman and coming up to you and trying to badger you and sell you something that you don't want. But really, when you're selling sports, it's a different type of sale. You're creating a relationship with somebody that over the course of time you're doing them a favor, and that's how you make a sale. Is if you come off as if you're trying to do them justice and the honesty, everything ties together, you're more likely to make that sale. And what that leads to is referrals and relationships. I mean, we go to a ton of networking events, we meet people, we're out there. It's not literally just picking up the phone all day long and making those. That's probably where you'll start, but to continue your career, it's about who you meet and who you know. Most of our sales from the bigger levels comes from meeting people out there, and no one in this room buys stuff from over the phone anymore. You don't do it. It's all face to face. If you have that personality and that willingness to go up to somebody and talk to them and meet them and introduce yourself, you're more likely to get ahead than the person next to you, sitting next to you. So it really is, you combine all that drive, honesty, and knowing your customer, listening to the people, and they'll tell you what they want. If you sit there long enough and let them talk, they'll give you the answers to the test. It's just a matter of what you do with that from that point on.